Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Frankly Speaking with Vibhuti Jha. What a week it has been. Sometimes you wonder that will there be any time when the news is slow? Sometimes, very rarely does it happen. But we are living in a world of, a world of such technological developments that we have to virtually get to know everything that happens anywhere. The news doesn't travel 3 or 4 days late. It is virtually instantaneously. Nothing is secret. The two outstanding events that happened last week, and I want to talk about it because both impacts us as Americans, as Indian Americans, both ways. One of them is the Audrey Truschke, the professor, the honorable professor from Rutgers University. She is leading the campaign to dismantle global Hindutva. Now, ever since she did her research on Aurangzeb being a benevolent king, whereas we know the history differently, one wondered what was the motivation for this kind of a research. But be that as it may, on September 10th, 11th, and 12th, they are holding a conference which is called Dismantling Global Hindutva. Now, I was going through the agenda of the 3 day conference. It's very interesting. Everything is branded with the Hindutva logo. What is global Hindutva? The political economy of Hindutva, caste and Hindutva, gender and sexual politics of Hindutva, contours of the nation as Hindutva, Hindutva science and healthcare, Hindutva propaganda and digital ecosystem, Hindutva and white supremacy. Do you realize this is what is called academic freedom? But what was more important for everybody to know here is what Professor Truschke said in her tweet. She said, and I'm reading it, co-sponsored by 45 plus centers and departments at 40 universities, do consider attending to learn more about the threat and power of Hindutva in our world. That's very powerful. To specify the Hindutva poses a threat and power of Hindutva. And I'm wondering, when I read that, we are the most peaceful community in the world. We have never waged a war. We are not going around killing people as of now.
That's correct.
Right? We are not going around killing people. We are not even creating a law and order problem anywhere. So, what is this power of Hindutva that she is afraid of and wants to rile up people against us? There has to be some vicious agenda. There is only one element that I find the sense of power. Are the Americans suddenly worried about that more than 10 or 12 CEOs of major technology companies are Indians? Is the effort to somewhere along the line browbeat us Indians into submission? And it has a very serious ramification, in my opinion, and that is it permanently scars us Indians as if we are some kind of an evil entity, which we are not. And therefore, to discuss this issue and also the, the debacle and tragedy of Afghanistan, it has direct ramifications. It's already having on America, with as many soldiers dead, with so many, with a vicious attack at, the airport in Afghanistan. It has social and political and religious ramifications for India. To discuss these two issues, I have great pleasure in welcoming two of my dear friends from Long Island who are vocal, who are expressive, and they don't hold hostage. They speak their mind. And nothing better in this time to be listening to the truth, whether it's from your perception or whatever, but let's talk about it. It's discussed because these two events have significant impact on us as Hindus and Indians. So I will ask my friend Rakesh Sharma, Dr. Rakesh Sharma, who is a chief of medicine and in charge director of ICU in a major hospital in Smithtown. And he has been on the show many times. You know him. And I have the second gentleman is Mr. Vimal Goyal, a very active community person and remarkable businessman in real estate and actively involved. So both these gentlemen are professionals. And I'm reminded of what Senator once told me, and I will let each one of you respond on this matter, that we love you Indians as immigrants to this country. You are professionals, you are hardworking, you have family values, you take care of your children, you are in the highest median income, you are no problem on the law and order side, and you are only, apart from occasional white collar crime, you are in the highest median income, you ask for nothing. We are the perfect immigrant community. So why suddenly we have become a target? Rakeshji, go ahead.
Thank you, Vibhuti. And thank you, my panelist. It's very sad, just like you said, we are very peaceful community. Of course, right now, all of us are Americans, but if you look minutely, we are Indian Americans. And we are proud of our heritage and more proud of our culture. As you mentioned, that Hinduism or people that are called Hindus have been the most peace-loving people for thousands of years. Our culture is 10 plus thousand years old. We are from India. We have never invaded any nation, and we do not believe in converting people unless somebody wants to willingly convert, whether it's Richard Gere or it's George Harrison or it's some famous celebrity.
Or Julia Roberts, for that matter.
Julia Roberts. So that's our culture. Yes, why some people are after Hindu religion or Hindutva, it really bothers us because we have not bothered any nation. And especially there are few people, including Audrey Truschke, who is actually assistant professor. She's not professor yet. And she may behave like a professor, but she's not professor. And she belongs to Rutgers University, and it's not an Ivy League school. No insult to the students who go there. But one of the loopholes that people have found is if you go after peaceful people and write something wrong, you become very famous quickly. And number two, these peaceful people will not come after you since they are very peaceful. There is no scare of being beaten up by them. Had she written anything against Islam, I am sure by now she would have been in the hospital.
That's true.
And that's what they are counting on, that Hindus will not bother them. They will cry for a few days and they will quiet down. And to make her more powerful, there are certain other people, whether you can say some of the Hindus like Romila Thapar, who will associate with these kind of writers. I don't call them very genius writers, but these are opportunistic writers like Audrey. And they are actually being strengthened by other writers who are either communists or against Hindus, even if they are Hindus themselves. And that's what she's counting on. Hey, let me make a quick buck, a name among writers who are left-wing and go after Hindus. She dare not go after Islam.
You have put it very well. Vimalji, I'm coming to you with another perspective.
Sure.
Is that under the banner of academic freedom, this country is suffering right now. I'm reminded of Swami Vivekananda's invocation. when he was called upon to define what is poison, he had said anything in excess. I'm noticing that in this country, somewhere along the line, we have besmirched the line of freedom. This is something which has happened. I'm not saying that bring in dictatorship or to stop people, but there is a sense of responsibility. This is a classic example of shouting fire in a theater
Right.
when there is none.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Raising a bogey of fear against us,
Yeah.
whereas the whole world can see that we are not violent people. We are not the ones who are killing. But under the banner of academic freedom, she has 40 plus universities, including Ivy Leagues, Rakeshji.
Right.
Including Ivy Leagues, Columbia, Harvard, Stanford, they pulled back. There are 7 universities who have pulled back or written that we are not part and that they are using the logo erroneously without authority. But
Yeah,
the key element is that departments and certain sections, it was also found in Georgetown University, the center or the department that has supported them is funded by the Saudi prince family.
that's true.
There are certain very interesting ventures to the whole process. And what is worrisome is, and I think we should get more active. We must, not should, we must get more involved in trying to find out, engaged with it. She has got a $1 million grant again
Yeah.
to study the Indian history from 2002 to 2020. So what is happening now? That another 3 years and you will see another barrage of nonsense will be heaped on us.
That's true.
Vimalji,
Yeah.
as an activist, as a very aware businessman, you participate with people all day long.
Yes.
And you are very active in the community as a ILI member and everything else. What must we do?
Okay, Vibhuti ji, first of all, thank you for having me. Now, getting to the point, dismantling global Hindutva. Why? Why would you want to do that? What is wrong with Hindutva? They define Hindutva being about 100 years old, the word they're talking about. Where do they get that time frame? Hindutva has been around since Hinduism has been around. Hindutva is a way of life. This is what we call a Christianity, a Christians. That's their way of life. Judaism, that's their way of life, or Muslim, whoever you want to call. Now, we are Hindus, and this is how we live. Now, some are really devoted Hindus. They worship every day and everything else. And there are some Hindus who are not as devoted. Doesn't mean anything. They're still Hindus.
Right.
Now, why would you want to dismantle? Who are you? Who gave you right to dismantle Hindutva? Who gave you right to discuss this? Is this fair? That you are, I mean, I see all these Indian Hindu names, except for one Muslim name, being part of the panel to discuss this. What are you going to discuss? Are you against Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh? I'm a member of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. Since I was a child, I used to go to Shakha, and I'm proud of that. What is wrong with this? If I go to the temple, you're saying I shouldn't go to the temple, I shouldn't believe in Hinduism? What kind of discussion is this? They are comparing Hindutva to a fascism or to a total radicalism, just like any other religions have. There is no such thing as in RSS, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. We never spoke against any other religion. All we said that, look, you're Hindu, you have a right to live in Hindustan. That's it. We never said we are against Muslims or Christians or anyone else. Hindustan is the most democratic country and in the world. And you know why? Why Hindustan is the most democratic in the world? Because of Hindus. Hinduism allows all other religions. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. These are our principles. They should talk about Gita and Ramayana and the kind of things that they're in our scriptures that say what Hinduism is all about. Not to go against Hinduism, not to go say Hindutva is bad and dismantle it. I can go on and on all day for this thing.
The important part here is I see the passion about, when you are innocent and you are attacked, it angers you more. And as Rakeshji was talking about the fact that because we are silent, quiet community, they don't fear that we will have a response. But we did have a very good response when swastik was attacked. We made sure it doesn't happen, at least in the near future. What happens in the long-term future, we do not know because our enemies are far more alert. But the important part here is that this politics of hate, what is it that about Hindus? The most peaceful community in the world, right? Why do you think this politics of hate is being espoused against not only us, but brainwashing our children? And they're the first generation of Indians, people like you and I, who have our children who are going to college or will go to college or are passing through college. Yeah, there is a very vicious thing happening. A chasm is getting developed between parents and children, because children are now saying that, hey, I've heard reports of children telling parents that you guys are Hindu bigots. You don't respect others. The reality is something else. I know of in nearby place from here, there was a lady whose daughter was asked by her Pakistani friend, how could you guys be supporting Modi? He's such a killer. And we never say that about Imran Khan and Pakistan, but they dare our children. But fortunately, this lady has taken care to explain to her daughter about these things, so the child was able to attend to that issue. My question here is, what is it about us Hindus that drives people like this crazy? There must be something about us. And I'm happy about it. Like we are not noticing ourselves, but others are noticing us. And they're putting us on alert. This is important because people must not think that we are the bigots of the highest order, because the truth is something else. So we have to be cautiously contesting this. If we don't contest it, we will be steamrolled.
That's correct.
And we will be steamrolled in business, academia, and everywhere else, including your profession, doctor. Because people will just say, oh, guys, you guys have all kinds of perversions in your social life. You don't talk about it, but here is this exact story. Rakesh, your thoughts on it?
Well, there is encouragement given to such elements by certain groups. Let me break down the groups and why this is happening. Number one, people like George Soros, who have spent millions of dollars to give bad name to Hindu religion and India and go after Modi and Hindutva. Mm-hmm. So as we all know, money talks. George Soros have plenty of money. He will give grants and he will spend a lot of money for these kind of causes to work against India and Hindus. Then you have people from rich Middle Eastern countries who are scared of Hindutva or Hindu religion. So they give grants to these kind of writers on the condition that they will write against India or Hindu religion. Mm. And then you have some self-serving Hindus themselves who want to show they're very secular. They want to make their name among non-Hindus or other countries. And if I give you their name, you won't be shocked because you know some of them very well. Raj Mohan Gandhi, Romila Thapar, these kind of people, they are in line to become big names themselves. So if any writer writes against Hindus or Hindu religion, these people are the first one to sponsor them. So when Audrey was named by the students at Rutgers that she should be terminated from teaching Hindu courses at Rutgers University, you know who came to her defense? All these prominent Hindus who are against India, Romila Thapar kind of people, and a couple of other professors who actually are at Rutgers and they are Hindus themselves. So they want to show to rest of the world, hey, listen, I don't take side of my own religion. I'm a very fair person. So if they do that, they get promotion really good. So that's what happens. So it's one is money. Second, certain people like George Soros. Third, a lot of Middle Eastern rich people who are scared of Hinduism. And then you have some self-serving, selfish Hindus who want to progress in their lives in this country, and they will take side of people like Audrey. Uh, so what do we do with them? We as Hindus in this country, yes, we don't want to be violent. We don't want to take the route that Taliban has taken, but we have a voice. We have a lot of force in this country. As you said, we are community that makes maximum per family in this country among all the ethnic groups. We are in good positions. We can defend ourselves. I don't think we need to uh, go and ask for help from other groups, although some of them may be on our side, like Jewish community, may be on our side, but you don't need to. You need to be powerful yourself, because in the end, if you cannot defend yourself, you cannot ask for help from others. So we need some kind of leadership. As we all know, there is a HAF. There are 2, 3 other groups in US that take care of these kind of bad elements and go after them. In fact, HAF has filed a libel suit against Audrey. I think it was in May of this year.
Yes.
And so she will be taken to the court. And the reason is not that we don't like healthy criticism. I'm the first one who doesn't like caste system in Hindu religion. But at the same time, if you explore, there are 10 different groups in Islam, whether Shia, Sunni,
Ahmadiyas, Aga Khani,
or
and
Ahmadiyas, it's a caste system among them. When you look at Christianity, there's Episcopal, there's Catholic people, there are
100%.
Baptist, there's so many other born again. So that's what we call caste system in them. But we don't go around and yell, hey, listen, you have a caste system among yourself. So what we need to do is tell these other groups, listen, mind your own business. If you really have a healthy criticism, great. But if Audrey had 1 ounce of brain, I would say, why do you just go after Hindu religion if you're writing history of Southeast Asia of the last 5,000 years? There are other religions in Southeast Asia. Why don't you write a book against Islam?
Rakeshji, you are absolutely on the money. That's why I said, what is the motive? Here is one single country called India living by itself. Everybody is trying to attack us.
Yes.
So, I always believe in one thing, and that has helped me grow and understand things. Every disaster is an opportunity. So I'm not looking at it as a disaster. I'm saying, thank you, Audrey.
That's right.
For doing this.
For uniting us.
But because this has brought a very interesting awareness amongst the Indian communities. Hey, we aren't that bad. We aren't that what she's describing us as. And I'm pretty active on a couple of social media platforms, and one of them is Clubhouse. I'm not advertising for them. On Clubhouse, it's a vocal thing, no video, nothing. It's a conversation tool. I'm so happy to see the number of young Hindus who are becoming vocal and assertive that we have to contest this. So don't stop this conference. It is an open invitation. Join it. Let's listen to what she has to say. That's where you build the case, how the nonsense gets spread. That will give you idea to do that. And at the same time, it creates a unity. A lot of people talk about, Vimalji, I would want you to comment on that. The Hinduओं में unity नहीं होती. We don't get united, we have a lot of division. And I always say that unity is not a jacket, shirt, tie, or a dhoti, kurta, or pajama, or a salwar kameez. Ki cupboard se nikala, pehen liya, oh, here is unity. Unity is always behind a purpose, behind a cause, just as we all united in the favor of safeguarding and protecting the concept of swastik. Now, this is again that particular motive scenario. Power and threat posed by Hindutva globally. Vimalji,
Ajay.
how do we take advantage of this opportunity? And I want to tell you this one. I'm very closely working with HAF,
Wow.
and HAF are doing on 31st August.
Right.
We are part of a major organized effort to talk about dismantling global Hindu phobia. You know,
Right.
we are doing that. Urge you all to join, and I urge everybody to join the dismantling Hindutva group and listen to the nonsense that will be heaped.
I will.
Vimalji, your time.
Bhutiji, see, Hinduism, or let's put it what Hindus are in Hindustan, we have a diversity. We have so many languages, and we are all Hindus, by the way, and started as Hindus, so many different cultures. You go from north to south to east to west. There's so many differences. And that's what is the root cause of we are not united. And it makes a lot of sense. And as we all know, English actually unites us in a way because of the language. Otherwise, I won't be able to speak Tamil or Gujarati or any other language or Bengali. And they won't be able, I have brother-in-law who's Bengali, he can't speak Hindi that well, so we can't communicate. So it's the language that's the barrier. Now, when you have to depend on a foreign language to discuss with your own Hindus, people of your own community, of your own religion, let's talk about religion first. In your own religion, when I go to the temple in Pennsylvania, they speak Sanskrit. Now, I did read Sanskrit in my 5th, 6th, 7th grade, but that was not enough for me to understand everything that they're speaking. And they just keep going on and on and on. And so a lot of times what happens is, I think one of the barriers that we have is the diversity. But it's good, sometimes diversity is good, because it tells us even in diversity, we can practice our religion. Think about all other religions. They speak different languages, but in a country where you don't have so many different languages, it works out well. Now let's talk about Hindutva, what they're doing. They are minimizing the extremism and separatist movement against Hindus, like Kashmir. Why aren't they discussing that? Why are they so worried about RSS? Because on their topic, when they are talking about dismantling of Hindutva, they have a picture of RSS members, and they think it's a threat. Now, they call Hindutva as political philosophy. Hindutva is not political philosophy. It's the religion. This is where I was born. And this is what my parents and grandparents and great-grandparents practiced. So you can't put that together and say, oh, this is a disaster and we need to stop it. That's nonsense. Has nothing to do with Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi was born Hindu, and he has a full right, 100% rights to practice his religion, and just like anybody else. And come on, don't forget Hindustan is a majority Hindu. So what's wrong with that? There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Now, they are trying to deny the existence of Hinduism by reducing it to something they think is extremism in RSS. And that's also wrong. So I'm just trying to say the things that they're trying to do when they will be talking about it. Now, but you know what they don't do? They don't acknowledge the spirituality and all the teachings of our books, yoga, existing, nonviolence, loving God, and all these things. They don't discuss that. So this is where I have problem with. So these are the problems with this movement that they have, where we need to stop it.
I won't call it a movement. I would call it a diabolical plot to somewhere along the line to hurt us. Sharmaji, the one thing which I wanted to also talk about is that what must happen? What must we do? Because this particular kind of the stupidity, I have to put it mildly, will drive a wedge between the young, because the remarkable woke culture in America right now is destroying established norms. It is going to hurt Hindu children, Hindu families severely. And as people who have children here, who have been through school or going to school or passed out from school, they are all going to be affected by this. How do we address that as the first generation Indians dealing with our children about it? And that can happen only if we are aware of our responsibilities in that regard. So, what must we do?
It's not difficult. Um, if I am 5 feet 10 inches tall and someone says you are 5'6", I need to be angry and I need to tell them, hey, I'm not 5'6". So there has to be a way, and there's a way. What we as Hindus who live in US should do is, number one, have a mass protest outside Audrey's house, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 of us, and teach her over 1 hour period. No need to do any kind of bad name or so, but teach her what Hindu religion is about. 1,000 of us can go and tell her that her learning is defaulted.
I will step in here.
Yeah,
That is a protest or try to teach, but she's not. She's motivated.
sure. There are
Deliberately
ways.
doing it. वो कहते नहीं है कि जो सोया है उसको आप उठा सकते हो, जो सोने का बहाना करता है उसे नहीं उठा सकते.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, her next book is going to be published by Princeton Publications. If we are, let's say, 3 million Indians who live in US, and out of 3 million, even 500,000 Indians who are educated, adult, make good money, write to Princeton Publications that, listen, if you publish our book, we will put ads in all the major newspapers. We will not buy any of your book ever. And so it's you who has to decide. And it's not a threat. It's because she is writing things that are not true. So that's second step. Number three, a fault that I see among our Hindu organizations is there's one person who becomes in charge of the organization. And that person has only one brain. Instead of one person running organization, there should be 10, 15 people who should have equal right in that organization and have 10 brains working in it and tackle the problem.
Vimalji, it is very important. You are right, Rakeshji, that there has to be an organizational resistance. I'll put it that way. An organizational battle, because Audrey is not fighting alone. She's created a cadre of people who are including people from India, Marxist people. I have no problem with the ideology. I'm saying the false narrative which Rakeshji talked about. So the point here is very simple. Where is the organizational response from Indian associations? FIA, India Association of Long Island. A lot of them fear that if we say something political, our 5013C9 status will go away. That's rubbish. It's like saying that if you are being attacked, don't defend yourself. You will become violent. No, you are being decimated. With these kind of seminars, you are being decimated. It is incumbent about Indian Association of Long Island or any association, whether it's Andhra Association to Sindhi Association, Tamil, Telugu, Malayali, Haryana, Punjab, every association must make a statement that if you want to learn about Hinduism, come and talk to us. That's not what is Hinduism all about. That's baloney. And I'm calling upon myself, you, and both of you, that as association members, let's have a conversation within the organization. Whether our mandate allows us to protest an ugly thing. Somebody is attacking us, what must we do? And if there is a need for an organization like that, let's create a nodal body for that then. Because look at it this way. Indian American Muslim Council. What a fantastic name, Indian American Muslim Council, right? If you read their reports, sometimes they will say Indian Americans opposing this. Then you read Indian American Muslim Council does that. My point is very simple. Let's have an organization like Indian Hindu Council. There are Hindu Students' Council. There is KONA, Coalition of Hindus of North America. I'm saying, as adults, if we don't show path, I have met with many young people. I'm remarkably active. I'm not as old as I think. I'm not as young as you might feel. But I'm very active with young people, and they say we don't get any guidance from our senior colleagues, senior people from Indian community.
Yes.
They begin to give us directions. They don't collaborate. That's a very valid point for us to listen to the youth because they are looking for guidance.
Vibhuti,
Please,
you need to, I mean, you're right. You have a very valid point. But here, I would like to add to what you just said.
please do.
There is a difference. There is a difference. What happens is India Association of Long Island, FIA, India Day Parade, these organizations are not taking any sides. And the reason is this, I'll explain it to you. The organizations that need to take sides are the temples or Hindu organizations. They call themselves Hindu, like I have my own Sri Ram Temple, Inc. And so many other organizations like we have Ganesh Mahotsav Inc. or whatever the names are. There's so many IAF that we do Dashera, we do Ganesh Mahotsav, and then we do Ram Leela and Diwali AIA. Now, here's the thing. India Association of Long Island cannot come out and speak against this because it's not a religious nonprofit. Not because they will lose their 501c3.
Sir, just to bring about a point, it's not religious. It's attack on our ethos, of our cultural tradition, of our way of life, under the banner that she says we are afraid of the Hindutva power and influence around the world. That's the issue. It is a threat to us. They are not saying that Shivji is doing a Tandav Nritya. They are not talking about anything. She calls Ram a misogynist. Right? I'm talking about that. Does India Association of Long Island, of which I'm a member of,
Right.
I'm here to ask a question. Do the people of India Association of Long Island and any other Indian association believe that we are as bad as that? So it's without taking sides. It's not about taking sides. It's about standing for yourself.
That's
You
true.
can't tell you if your son and daughter are attacked, at that time you will not try to adjudicate whether those who are attacking them are legally, morally right or wrong. You will first defend them, then talk next, right?
I agree with Bhutiji. All I'm trying to say is there are more than enough organizations of all of Indians who live in US to come out and speak against this type of.
Bhai Sahab, temple wale kehte hain ki we are temple, we are not political entity.
It's not a political thing. They are politicizing it, but
that's right. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. You are agreeing with me that politicizing and a social event of the kind that to attack you, हमने आपको it's like saying हमने आपको थप्पड़ मार दिया, चोट आपको लगी, बाद में मैंने बोला sorry. That's not enough. That doesn't take the pain away, right?
Right.
Sharmaji, I want you to think about. Let's think aloud. Let's breach the subject in India Association of Long Island. Let's think about it.
But just one, I agree with you.
What kind of a legal work? And we have very smart lawyers. Yes. I'm 100% sure one can prepare a statement.
But one thing I just wanted to add
please.
is I'm so disappointed with our elected officials like Ro Khanna and Ameya Pawar. These people, Ram Villavalam, actually, he's a senator from Illinois, that they are supporting this type of event. They're supporting these types of views. But what I'm very proud of is that Tulsi Gabbard spoke against it. And then also our friend Raja Krishnamurthy also spoke against this thing. So they are divided.
Ro Khanna to Pakistan caucus mein hai, wo kaise bolega?
So I think what we need to do, what we did in New York when swastika thing was passed or was about to pass, that we spoke to every single elected official, assemblyman, senator, and whoever was involved, and gave them a lesson, taught them what exactly is swastika. It's not really, swastika is Hindu thing. It's not exactly German thing what they're thinking about.
Right.
So I think that's what we need.
We need more engagement. I mean, one of the lessons that from this I get it is
Exactly.
that Hindu communities, Hindus need to get engaged at the grassroots level. Sharmaji, on this subject particularly, on this subject, your last word on it.
Yes.
How must we do it? Because there is a very interesting thing.
Sure, sure.
Very
You mentioned, Vibhuti, you mentioned that she said misogynist pig to Ram. And she said, oh, Sita is the one who told Ram that he's a misogynist pig.
correct.
And then when people said, hey, what the hell are you talking? She said, oh, I didn't say that. This is Robert Goldman who translated that Sanskrit thing, and I'm just quoting it. Robert Goldman said, I never said that. So Robert Goldman told that Audrey is a liar. I never said that Sita told that Ram is a pig.
Yeah.
At the same time, she also claims that Bhagavad Gita is teaching that it's okay to have a massacre in India. They're rationalizing. No, Bhagavad Gita doesn't say that. Bhagavad Gita only said that, hey, listen, if you have to take care of yourself, don't look at whether it's your brother or so.
Right.
You have to be on the side of the dharam.
Yeah.
So if on the side of adharam is your brother or uncle, don't worry, you must defend the dharam. That's what Gita teaches. So Audrey's teaching is wrong, because if you may know that she has been taught at University of Chicago and Columbia by people like Wendy Doringer, who wrote the Hindu book, and also by this guy Sheldon Pollock, who's biggest Hindu hatred guy. So her mentors have been people who hate Hinduism. And the reason being, 30, 40 years ago, when these people hated Hinduism, Hindus were very weak in United States. So you could do or say anything. Now Hindus have a lot of power. Yes. So these guys cannot dare to say anything. But Audrey, being a new assistant professor, figured out, hey, listen, this is the ladder to fame. So let me write a couple of books against Hindus, and I'll be a controversial writer. Once you become a controversial writer, everybody knows you. Like Salman Rushdie. He wrote one novel and he's famous all over the world.
Right.
So
nobody knows what he wrote next, but that book made him famous. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I wanted to this topic. I want to get to the Afghan thing and the impact on India and the United States, what is happening. But I would suggest we are all active on WhatsApp groups, various groups. I would urge both of you to throw this subject matter for a discussion. That, I don't see anybody's talking about it either on Community Voice and others. There's no conversation about this severe attack on things Hindu.
Yeah.
Check the meaning. I urge you both, check the meaning of the word ISM. Why is Hindus called Hinduism? Christianity is not called Christianitism or Islamism.
Right.
There is a derogatory mention of ISM, and they associate us with that. It's very important to understand things that how the West has slapped on us.
Yeah.
We have to rise about that. So I would urge, let's have a conversation, a civil discourse within us. Do we agree with what is happening? And if it don't, then hey, let's have an Indian American political wing of every institution. Let's form a group of Indian American political active group and comment on these matters. Believe it or not, somebody has said that they are setting up a legal channel all over the country to start for everything. In India, it has started. My partner Sanjay Dikshit in Jaipur Dialogue has started a legal help center all over the country for attacks on Hindus. That's the kind of
Vibhutiji,
effort that we need to do.
Vibhutiji, the problem is, and this is for your viewers who are going to watch it, that when we don't define ourselves, the others will define us.
Yes, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Let's switch to the topic of Afghanistan. Like that country has been the graveyard of all empires, a famous word that describes that country. But the country has been mired in so much of fatigue. There's so much fatigue because of wars. What is it about Afghanistan? That country, which was once upon a time India, of Gandhar narration, Buddha tradition, and everything else. Buddhism doesn't exist anymore there. Hindus have dwindled to a couple of hundred numbers. Sikhs are there in minuscule numbers. So Afghanistan has an impact. And I have said this, and I have said this with many people, that the problem with the West is that they are not able to distinguish between ISIS, Taliban, and Al-Qaeda. There's nothing to distinguish. They are all the same. Which part of it you don't understand? If you think that Taliban is going to be your partner at the expense of Al-Qaeda, look at what supposedly ISIS did at blowing up the two explosions in Kabul at the international airport. So many people died. 12 Marines died.
Yeah.
On Thursday, instantly. That's the point which I'm trying to say. Why are the Western leaders, Western democracies, bending backwards to accommodate a faith and a group of people who are completely recalcitrant, who hate you and I? But we are bending backwards to accommodate them. What's wrong with us?
Yeah.
Vimalji, you go first.
Okay. Afghanistan is a mess. And we knew that 35 years ago, when the king of Afghanistan was killed by whoever did it. I think, 15 years old when I read about it. In Afghanistan, the king was killed, it was murdered, the whole family was murdered. And then whatever happened, and then Russians came and US, American came. The thing is, see, what happens is we went into Afghanistan because of 9/11. And the goal was to find Osama bin Laden. The point that I'm trying to make is, once you find Osama bin Laden, which was the goal of US, get out. Why are you there? We're trying to change the society. We're trying to change the people. We try to do the same thing in Iraq. You just can't change people. Leave them to their own destiny. We are trying to make them democratic. We did the same thing in Iraq, and the whole thing changed. And they tried to do it in Iran one time when they were in Iran, and then they got thrown out. The point is our foreign policy. Who makes America the mayor of the world? Who made America mayor of the world? Tell me. What right do we have to go into a country? I understand Afghanistan. I'm just saying any country.
Any country for that matter. Yeah.
And then try to change them. Okay, Afghanistan makes sense because we try to find Osama bin Laden. Finally, we found him. Whatever we did,
in Pakistan.
That's it. He was in Pakistan. So the point, what I'm trying to make is that was a goal. When you have a goal, pursue the goal, and when you achieve the goal, get out. Now, since we stayed in Afghanistan, now Biden, okay, by the way, I'm a Democrat, and I'm not saying Biden didn't make mistakes. And
I hope you're happy or unhappy or annoyed.
Well, I'm very unhappy because everybody's unhappy. But the point, what I'm trying to say is Biden had a dilemma. It could be Biden, it could be Trump, it could be Bush, it could be Obama, anybody. You have two choices. One is get out fast, and the other is get out slow. The problem is both strategies. If you get out fast, you're going to create a disaster, which he did. And if you get out slow, you're going to demoralize the government of that country. And then the whole thing will dismantle. The point that I'm trying to make is there is no 100% correct strategy here.
You said the truth, Vimalji. There is never 100% accuracy on anything. Even God is not perfect, right? Otherwise, why would have created a desert land in the kind that he did? Just he left behind some oil. But that's the important part that you talked about. We talked about the regime change part of it. What makes America the global policeman, right? It is a relic of the, what you call the Cold War era. But what is important is to understand the nature of the beast. My pet theory in Hinduism and Hindu literature is called Purva Paksh. And Purva Paksh is all about understanding who you are dealing with.
Right.
In our ancient debates, you had to learn about your opponent as much as you know about yourself. Then only you know what his response would be to you.
Exactly.
And that's where the West or the democracies are going wrong, because the communities are based on their own ideology of Sharia. They will never say anything about Sharia. It's not up for discussion, dialogue, or a debate. Our cultural tradition is all about debate, dialogue, vad, vivad, you know,
Yeah.
debate, dialogue, not war. Our shivling is located in Tashkent and various parts of the globe. There is no evidence of war that we establish shivling there or other temples. It's part of the historical peaceful process
That's
of
correct.
education. So Sharmaji, I wanted to ask you this particular question that in Afghanistan, you know, Vimalji was talking about early withdrawal, late withdrawal. But Trump, of all, Trump was right on many occasions. The people's hatred made him look bad. I'm referring to a very great thinker, Steve Cohen. He's no more. Steve Cohen was a Russian Jew who was consulted by every single US president on Russian matters. Every single president. He's a Democrat, disliked Trump. But in a particular forum where I was there, where he was being felicitated by our organization with a Bridge Builder Award in California, in Los Angeles, the den of Democrats, he said, guys, I didn't vote for Trump and I don't like him. But pay attention to what he says. He's often right. We may or may not like it. And he gave two examples. One was, we have to be friends with Russia. Why? Because how can you not be friends with somebody who has the equal amount of nuclear power? Right? Number two, he said he was right about Afghanistan and Middle East, that those are warring factions. Today also Biden referred to that they are fighting, their tribals are fighting for thousands of years. They have never been a unified country. Why are we fighting their battle? Let them fight. And that's how he brought about the condition of withdrawal and conditional withdrawal, how you get out of that. How come United States doesn't understand that the Director General of ISI of Pakistan is on YouTube making fun of America, that history will acknowledge that ISI defeated America without firing a bullet. Afghanistan is that tragic story about America, that they were sleeping with the enemy, who they pumped in dollars, and who sent American soldiers in body bags. When do you think Americans will begin to realize that? Sharmaji.
Shall I begin?
Absolutely.
Would you give me 3 minutes to give
You
history
have
of
the 3 minutes.
Afghanistan? Great.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, for your viewers, I'm a big a student of history, and I think history teaches us much more than the scientists can ever do. As we all know, Gandhar was part of India, and thus Gandhari is a famous character in Mahabharata who was queen and was married to Dhritarashtra. So being a Hindu nation at that time. Roughly 500 BC, there was no country as Afghanistan. First of all, I want to tell the viewers that Afghanistan was never a country. So that part of the area was under Persian King Darius 500 BC. Then Alexander the Great came about 350 BC, took over. He left his general called Seleucus to run that area. And that's why you see Afghanistani people have blue eyes and they look like white people because most of them have Greek blood. And then later, roughly 300 BC or so, Chandragupta Maurya took over Afghanistan, and then Ashoka. That's why you will find the writings of Ashoka only in Afghanistan area. You will not find Ashoka's writing except in Afghanistan or in Sanchi, Madhya Pradesh, where there's a stupa.
Super.
So,
Yeah.
so Ashoka wrote some few writings in Afghanistan. So that was part of India. Later on, of course, Turks came, and then Mahmud of Ghazni took over Afghanistan, and then we know it became Islamic nation somewhere in 11th century or so. Again, there was some period where Indian kings, Maharana Ranjit Singh or so, captured Afghanistan again for 100 years or so. So Afghanistan was never a country. It was called Khorasan, and the reason it has been so famous or likable or everybody wanted to occupy it is because of India. It's bad luck. Afghanistan's bad luck is that it's a nation which has nothing to offer to anyone, but it is next to India. And India, because of Sone Ki Chidiya, was always attracted to the invaders. They had to come through Afghanistan or Persia to reach India. And that's why they all occupied Afghanistan at one time or the other. And that's exactly what happened to Babur, who came from Uzbekistan, had to come through Afghanistan, occupied Afghanistan, and then he attacked India. Same reason that Britishers occupied or tried to occupy Afghanistan because they were scared of Russia. So they wanted Afghanistan as a buffer zone between their empire, which was India, and Russia. Otherwise, Afghanistan is a country where you can't grow anything. There's really nothing. Its bad luck is that it's at a junction where everyone who wanted to come to India had to go through it. So that's a little history. This is my own theory, why Afghanistan has been attacked by different empires again and again, because they all loved to invade India.
Thank you very much for sharing that thought process. You wanted to say something more?
Now, what do we do with Afghanistan? Afghanistan has been in turmoil for centuries. And it's no wonder whether Britishers were defeated there or Russians got defeated and now Americans. Unfortunately, we all are Americans now, and we feel bad that USA wasted 20 years, $2 trillion, thousands of soldiers wounded or died. And now again, 12 soldiers died today, 15 wounded, and hundreds of civilians of Afghan origin died. And we, as Hindus or Sikhs who have been living for a few generations in Afghanistan, have to leave that area. Our temples, gurdwaras, our few generations who did good business there have to say goodbye. I don't think that Western nations understand Afghanistan very well. To give you a little humor here, a week ago when Afghanistan fell to Taliban, I went on Facebook and I wrote on Facebook that White House, please, next time you choose someone to advise your policy in Afghanistan, choose a guy who was either born in India or a child of Indian parents, because only we understand the culture of Afghanistan. Within 15 minutes, Facebook deleted my post and they would not let me post it again for next 2 days.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is what happened. So the point I'm trying to make is, this is a culture only people from Afghanistan, Pakistan, or India can understand. Western countries cannot. And that's why America got defeated there. So I'm glad they are out, because sooner or later they would have wasted more lives and more money. In
Oh,
fact,
yeah. Getting out of Afghanistan
they
is
should have
not
been out
even an issue.
15 or 18 years ago.
Right.
Whether they found Osama bin Laden or not, why waste your time in a country that nobody has ever understood? So what do we do with Afghanistan? Leave it alone. Whether it's ISIS, whether it's Taliban, whether it's Al Qaeda, make sure they stay within the boundaries of Afghanistan. Well, if they want to enter Pakistan and create some havoc, fine with me, but they should not enter any other country. And nobody's gonna make any changes. You have to make people understand culture and civilization before you start to change the regime. You cannot change the regime of a country. The people's thinking has to be changed. It will take 3 to 4 generations in Afghanistan. If you start to work today, believe me, 100 more years is required.
Taking the cue from Rakesh Sharma ji that it will be a generational work required. Vimal ji, you have the last word. We are coming to the end of the show. We have 1 minute.
Okay.
Where do we go from here? US has taken a major hit. And I'm angry about one thing. It's not the failure of US military.
No, it's not.
I
don't think it's a failure.
Yeah, it's complete bankruptcy of political partisanship played here.
Well, what it is
your last word on this.
You're right. But here's my problem, which I'm more worried about. US will be out and they will take care of everything, whatever it needs to be done. And Afghanistan will be left alone. The problem is for India. Afghanistan is still a nest for all the terrorists. And the problem is with Afghanistan that they are so much pro-Pakistan and so much pro-Muslims that they will cause more problems for us. And now don't forget, problem already started, by the way. All the refugees are coming from Afghanistan. Why India has to take them? There's so many Muslim countries all over the world. Why
nobody's taking
go there?
Yeah.
Why can't they? Afghanistan, if you look at it, is landlocked by all these countries around it. Why can't they go to all these countries? What's wrong with that? Because these people, they are just trying to leave. Why? This is not India, Pakistan got divided at independence, that all Hindus had to leave and all Muslims had to go back to Pakistan and everything else. No, I understand there's Afghanis who supported American soldiers and American system. That's fine. Get them out. Bring them here. I don't care.
Bring the assets out. Yeah.
Right. But why do you want to send them to India? I don't understand. These people lived in Afghanistan all their lives. What are they going to do in India? All they're going to do is create more problems for India, more radicalism, more terrorism. That's what they will do. And I listened to all these interviews that these people show. They're parliament members of Afghanistan who left Afghanistan. They say, oh, we are so happy to be in India. Why? You're Afghani and you're Muslim. What, you think India is better for you? Come on.
This is what makes me think. And that's where the point which I'm trying to drive at.
Stay in your country.
Hindus and Indians have to become more assertive. Turkey, Bangladesh, UAE, they are not taking
everywhere. Bangladeshis, Rohingyas are coming for Burma. Why?
Nobody's taking them. We are the only ones taking them. And it is really terrible. And the other part also is important. And there's somebody who was very unsympathetic. He said that I totally empathize with the loss of life and the trouble that Afghanis are going through.
Exactly.
But the 99% of them believe Sharia is the way to go. In a Pew research, 99% of the Afghanis or 90% of the Muslim country people believe Sharia is the way. But not a single Muslim country is saying a word about it. It is an issue that democratic countries need to think about. You know, there is a very nice Hindu saying, कुपात्र को हेल्प नहीं करना चाहिए. कुपात्र और सुपात्र में फर्क होता है. And we have to understand that part very well. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a wonderful conversation having with two very vocal, very assertive, knowledgeable people, Rakesh ji and Vimal ji. Thank you very much I wanted to give you another food for thought. These issues will be fomenting from time to time, but a very interesting thing happened in India. And I want to leave that thought with your mind, in your mind. PETA India, the Prevention of Cruelty Towards Animals, PETA India and PETA, both of them issued a statement in India that it's time for not to have cow's milk because the children, the calves, suffer from want of milk of the cows. Now, by itself, it looks very simple. But I immediately responded to that if you have the guts and courage, and if you're so worried about a cow's calf,
Yeah,
why don't you tell the rest of the world not to eat veal?
that's exactly
Why do
right.
you kill cow's calf? Not only that, there is another dimension to this.
As soon
And
as
that
it's
is
born,
because many artificial milk manufacturers, whether almond milk, this milk or that milk, soya milk and all, they want to destroy Indian dairy industry, Amul, and entire Indian dairy sector where millions of people are depending on their livelihood.
yeah,
Think about it, how the Western machinations affect people who do not speak up. It's time to do so. Have a great weekend. Have a great week ahead and talk to you next week. Thank
thank
you, gentlemen, for being with us today. As I always say, Satyameva Jayate. Let's
Satyam
celebrate and
Jai.
let's get more active. Thank you.
Thank you.